We all know the story of Mick Schumacher and how his short 2-year stint in Formula 1 with Haas ended. And if you don't, we will tell you the basics later on. But he was without a seat for 2023 and beyond. So, with Mercedes not having a reserve driver now as Nyck De Vries left for Alpha Tauri, they have had someone replace him. So Mercedes decided that they should take the young and upcoming Mick Schumacher as their third driver to help not only him, but also help Mercedes. What exactly are Mercedes' plans for the young German? Before we get into that, let's have a quick talk about how Mick lost his Formula 1 seat. So, Mick Schumacher joined Haas for the 2021 season, and he joined a team with the worst car on the grid and no real chance to show what he could really do. He had a very poor teammate in Mazepin who he dominated, which showed that Mick had some excellent pace, of course. However, Mick would crash the car heavily on several occasions, but as it was his rookie season, there was not a lot of spotlight at him doing so. 2022 would be much better with Haas as they had a point-scoring car for the first half of the season. But Mick would not be able to capitalise compared to his teammate Kevin Magnussen, who only joined the team a couple of weeks before the season opener. It would take Mick all the way to Silverstone until he scored his first points, and on the way, he would have had a couple of huge crashes that cost the teams millions that they did not have to spend. However, Mick in the second half of the season would be improved, and in the end he would beat his teammate in the races where they both finished, so there was a good chance that Mick would keep his seat in the sport as there was little options of people to replace him. However, Haas would go for a very old Nico Hülkenberg, which many people criticised as the team were clearly showing no ambition and just always wanted to stay in the bottom of the midfield. So yeah, that's how Mick Schumacher was found without a seat in Formula 1 for 2023. Do you think that Haas did the right thing by letting Mick go, or were they in the right due to him causing so much money due to crashes? Let us know in the comments below. Now, of course, with Mick being a free agent, Mercedes picked him up as a third driver and will also be a reserve driver and will step in when needed. This is crucial for Mick as he will still get to be in and around the sport, so it is a big possibility that he gets a main seat in the near future. So what exactly has Mercedes got in store for Mick going into 2023 and possibly even further if he is unable to find a seat? Now, for Mick, this is a fantastic opportunity for a number of reasons. And while it may actually be a better move to join Mercedes for 2023 than actually getting a main seat, whilst being in this third driver role, he can reset for a year or so and then go again when there is an opportunity for him to get back into the sport on the grid. Mercedes are a top team with fantastic facilities, and by working in the simulator, he can not only improve his racecraft, but show Mercedes that he could be an option when Lewis Hamilton eventually retires. More on why this move for Mick Schumacher is so good is also by being that a reserve driver, he does have the opportunity to drive for Mercedes for a full race weekend if Hamilton or Russell are unable to do so. If he does get that chance, he has to take it and try his best to get a podium or even win, depending on how the W14 comes in the 2023 season. For Mick, if he gets this chance and does perform well, he could easily impress the other teams, similar to what De Vries did at Monza, and go on and get himself back onto the grid. By Mick being in one of the top teams in the paddock, he will be working on the best of the best, not only at the factory, but also with Hamilton and Russell, who can both push Mick to be an even better driver, so he is prepared to jump back onto the grid potentially for 2024. So now, let's get into what Mercedes' big plans for Mick Schumacher could potentially be. Now, the first one is somewhat of a marketing move, as Mick has become one of the most popular drivers on the grid, and having him a German driver under a German team is very good marketing for Mercedes. Of course, with Mick having the Schumacher name, everyone knows his name, so Mercedes will now have 3 very big marketable drivers in Hamilton, Russell and Schumacher in one team, which could bring Mercedes big sponsors in the near future. With Mercedes being of such a big team, they want to show runs like Red Bull does so much, and it is very hard for both Russell and Hamilton to find time for them to do so. So Mick will be allocated doing this, which is great for Mercedes. Another big plan that Mercedes may have for Mick Schumacher is that he could be an option going forward for Mercedes. By bringing him into the Mercedes family, Toto and other higher-ups will get to see how good Mick is, and he could possibly be an option to watch for when Lewis does retire. They know if they do get someone who knows the team well once Lewis retires, it will be a very good fit, as we know that it's impossible for Mercedes to replace the greatest driver of all time. Mercedes have to make sure that they have as many options as possible, as Mick will put his name into discussion by joining Mercedes family for 2023 and beyond. Another big plan that Mercedes will have for Mick Schumacher is that when he will be very good at providing information for the team for them to develop the W14 going forward. As we all know, Mercedes really do hope that they'll be able to bounce back in 2023 and get a championship winning car once again, and having another driver help with some import will be very important going forward. By driving in the simulator, it will give more all-important data for the team, and any little thing counts in Formula 1, and Mick will be able to bring that to the team even though he is a very young driver. Furthermore, Mercedes will have big plans for Mick's development going forward. He may not join the main team in the future, but he will have a chance at joining another team like Haas once again. By keeping Mick in the very intense in Formula 1 space, he will give him a much better opportunity of getting back on the grid, unlike if he was just to leave the sport as a whole and sit there and pray that a team come running back to him asking to drive for their team. Mick is a young driver who has had 2 rough years with several big crashes for Haas, and he is very much a rough diamond that does need polishing. He did show through his junior career that he is a slow starter, but when he gets going, he is a dominant driver and was shown in both Formula 3 and Formula 2. Mercedes clearly have some big plans that they have set out for Mick, but of course this is only speculation from us, and we will not know exactly what Toto and the rest of the team have in store for the young German until the 2023 season gets underway. Do you think that this move will help Mick become a better driver? Drop a comment below and let us know. Overall, it is pretty fair to say that this is a very smart move from not only Mercedes, but also Mick, and it's a great partnership with a lot of positives. Mick hopes that by being at Mercedes for 2023, he can build some skills and become available for a drive at a team on the grid for 2024, and Mercedes hope that they can facilitate this in some way or another. What do you think of this move for Mick? Is this move very smart from Mercedes, or do you actually think completely different? Make sure to let us know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching the video, and make sure that you like and subscribe to watch videos just like this one in the near future.